So if you're strength training, you are going to hear the instruction to engage your core a lot. We're going to be doing that every single time. And if you're new to training, it might not be really obvious what that means. That is actually a great question of, how do I engage my core? So often people might think, oh, it means suck my belly button in. And in doing so, you end up kind of holding your breath. And that's not really what we want to do. So there's one cue that I usually start with suggesting, which is imagine that a football was flying towards your belly and you weren't able to avoid it. So what would you do to kind of prepare for that football landing there? You would kind of tense up this area, this region. But if that still doesn't work for you, I've got 3 more suggestions to that you might try out that perhaps might hit the spot a little more easily for you. The first one is you could do this standing, you can do it sitting on a chair. You don't have to be sitting on the floor. But if you imagine you were trying to kind of poke your fingers in underneath where your ribs are, so just poking your fingers into the kind of squishy, fleshy area here, and then imagine that you were trying to push them out again with your muscles. So fingers are tucked under and you're going to try and push them out. So in fact, what you're not sucking in, you're almost making yourself wider, but just firmer in the process. So fingers stuck under, pushing them out. And in doing so, you are making this area of the trunk really rigid. So that would be one thing to try. Maybe that still doesn't work. So I'm going to show you an exercise called 90-90 breathing. And with this, we're going to practice how to engage and not be holding the breath at the same time. So this, you are lying on the floor, and you have your knees and your hips and your ankles all at 90 degrees. That's where the name comes from. I'm using a footstool here. It's actually a little bit on the low side. You kind of want to be about up here, and you can also just have your feet resting against a wall if you prefer, and you want it to be your feet are just hip width apart as well. So in fact, I might actually get a different chair rather than that stool. Let's try this one out just so you get it accurate. Right, and what you're going to do is, feet are in position. Yeah, that's better. You're gonna, first thing to do is lightly press down on the heels, and that will just bring a little bit of tension into the hamstrings here at the back of the thighs, and very slightly peeling the pelvis away from the floor. It's just a really minimal little bit of engagement. Okay, and if your feet are on the wall, you would kind of slightly drag the heels down against the wall, still keeping contact and just bringing that little bit of tightness here into the back of the thighs. Next, you are going to imagine you're breathing through a straw, and imagine that you're trying to actually blow out a candle that's, all the way away from you on the ceiling. I know that sounds weird, but imagine you're trying to blow across the room, but because you're facing upwards, imagine it's on the ceiling. So you're breathing in and out still. And while you do that breathing, just maybe 5 breaths, nice and slow, through small hole in the lips. You want to try and keep the ribs down, so not having the chest rise up loads. Try and keep this area quite still while you breathe and while you keep that tension there. And then just relax after, say, 5. So you are practicing there, allowing the breath to travel in and out, and quite a bit of activity still going on here throughout. So you're engagement of the muscles in this core region are not stopping you from breathing. One more drill that might work, just so you can always try all three and see which one is best for you. This one, you would be lying back, same, you'd have the same kind of dead bug position with the legs, so it's still 90 degrees at the hips, the knees and the ankles. What you would do this time is place your hands against your knees and you're going to push them hard together. So straight away you can feel quite a bit of effort here from the muscles in the core region. I'm actually shaking a little bit, so nothing's really going to move, but you can just continue to breathe while you're doing that. A little bit of shaking is completely normal. It's just part of the muscles performing the effort. And you don't need to do that for a long time. It's just for you to start to experience the sensation of what does it feel like to actually consciously activate the muscles here, relax them, activate them again, not by accident, but under the control of your mind. I hope that's helpful, and if it's not, then let me know and I will continue thinking about other alternative cues that might work aside from the ones that I've already mentioned.